All right, guys. Today we've got Zach with us. Zach has been working with us has it been like over a year now?
Think
Over a year.
so.
Yeah, man. And
Around a year.
awesome. I'm so proud of you, dude. You just hit your first 41K in revenue month
Yep.
and huge milestone from where we started. So I want to get you on here, interview you, and just let the people here on YouTube hear more about your offer and what you're doing because it's really cool. It's really cool. Also, you're a PT, I'm a PT. So in the same space here. And I know a lot of the followers and people who are subscribers here, there's a decent number of clinicians. So yeah, man, thank you for being here today. And just tell us a little bit more about what it is you do right now with your coaching offer.
For sure. Thank you for having me. Yeah, so what I do, I come from experience in the home health world. So I have a home health therapy company out here in Southern California. And basically, I've taken everything that I've learned there in the last 12 years and in that setting and building that business. And now I help other therapists recreate it through a similar model. So basically, the high level overview of my program is we're giving therapists everything they need to get into home health successfully because it is, as a PT, like a sector that is pretty much ignored in PT school. So we're giving them the full education piece, the rules, the regulations, the payment model. And then we're going into, as either a solo therapist or if you want to create a home health therapy business, the business side of it too. How to create a company, starting with how to actually set it up, the companies to use, just out of the box, plug and play on that section. We go over the financial secrets, pricing strategy, negotiation, and then I tell clinicians in their area the exact agencies, the home health agencies they should be working with so that they don't waste a lot of time, which is unfortunately what I did the first 8 years before I really figured out what I know now.
Gotcha. Yeah, you're right. Like when I was in PT school, no one talked about it, and there's also this negative rep for it for some reason, and I was like, why? Why is this? And I think it probably has to do with like the agencies and the placements that you potentially get. But I imagine so much that's avoidable because last year before I started rotations in PT school, I was already in networking in the entrepreneur space, and there was this gym owner that was like an hour and a half outside of town. He owned his own PT clinic. He had did some online coaching and had a full CrossFit gym. He was trying to build his other business, but he didn't have gym and clients all day. So during that time, he would do home health. And I was like, hey man, can I shadow you for a day? Thinking I was gonna go shadow him in clinic and stuff. And we did the home health thing with him. And I was like, wow, this is way more chill and actually a lot better than what it's made out to be. Why does it have this rep?
It's so funny. You're totally right. Like there's this stigma around it. I don't know if it's intentional or if it's just kind of what's happened with these PT programs, but the placements are in the hospitals. The clinical rotations are in the outpatient practices where they feed therapists and where they rely on having these clinical internships to give to the people in their program. And so because they don't have any in home health, it feels very much like they don't want to promote that setting because they don't have clinical internships, they don't have companies working with them to place students. So it's kind of this like ignored thing. They've created this stigma around it. But what we're seeing, I feel very much like in the last 2 to 3 years and with the rise of Instagram and YouTube and social media, like therapists are waking up a little bit to the outpatient model, seeing 16, 20 plus patients a day for sadly the same pay that I was getting 15 years ago when I was doing outpatient. Like they're still being paid the same, which is completely insane. The cost of these schools is outrageous. So I think people are kind of waking up to outpatient's a bit of a broken model and the stigma around home health is changing to where they're like, oh, I can actually make a lot of money seeing less patients one on one and have more flexibility of schedule. That's a pretty positive thing. So I think it's kind of cool what's happening right now.
Yeah, no, I second that because that my only experience is that one. But we were like, listening to podcasts, like learning in between stuff. And I'm a huge learner. I love to listen to podcasts, love to listen to audiobooks. And I was like, man, I get to do this all day. And then I get to treat patients for like, not all day, but like while I was with him.
Sure.
He gets to do it all day. And like he could also take calls building his other business, like with potential prospects and stuff on his way to the next visit. And I was like, man, you're like doubling your salary right now, like doing both. And he was done at like noon. And then he could go to the gym in the afternoon. I was like, this is pretty cool. Like if I ever was in a spot where I like didn't want to keep doing what I'm doing now, it seems so easy. you know?
Yeah, it was pretty chill. I remember just since you said finish at noon, at one point, one of my contracts lost somebody and they called me and they were like, I was the one they always would call if like it was hitting the fan because they knew they could rely on me kind of deal. They said, we just lost this therapist. There's this facility, assisted living facility. It was about 45 minutes away from me. We need someone to just go door to door, see patients for us. I mean, there's nothing easier than that. There's no driving between patients, like super easy. And I was like, I can only do it on Saturdays. We got to make the rate. And we made it really, really high. And yeah, I'd go down there 7 or 8 a.m. on a Saturday. I think I'd go till 1. I'd see like 7 or 8 patients make, more than an outpatient PT makes in 2 or 3 days. Go home and enjoy my day. I was like, this is pretty chill.
Yeah, no, a couple questions there. This is a little different than our normal interview because I'm just curious on the model myself. So I'm going to ask you some
For
questions.
sure.
We will get for those who are watching, we will get into his sales, marketing strategies, all that stuff too. But first off, do you help just PTs or do you do speech, OTs?
Yeah,
Well,
PTOT assistants, and we actually just had our first speech therapist, and she's like off to a very good start.
nice. And what are some like people who are thinking about getting into the space? What are some common mistakes they made? Because what I heard you say when you said, "Hey, this is what we do," is that you're positioning it as like a business. Where I was under the I guess idea that you got hired by an agency or whatever as a employee or whatnot. But it sounds like it's like either a contractor or you make your own agency slash business that the subcontract works. Explain how that works to me.
Yeah, for sure. I help people with both. Some, you're right, want a W-2 job, don't know anything about home health, want to really understand the setting before leaving their current job. And then, of course, I help with negotiation and all these things. And if you do want to go be an employee, like you are worth a lot more money if you already know the rules, the regulations, the payment model, because inherently the company hiring you has less time, money, and effort to train you. So you're a more valuable person. So we do help people that want to be employees. A lot of people want to go the contractor path and start their own home health therapy company, like I've done. So yeah, that model is going to be a little different. The big problem that a lot of people run into, and like I said earlier, it took me 8 years to figure it out, is they don't know the right home health agencies to be contracting with.
Mm.
So, like my home health therapy staffing company, we are contracted with over 300 home health agencies. Like, sounds like I mean, it is a really big number, but the reason it's so many is because for those first 8 years, I was going on Google. This is what most people do. I'm in Los Angeles home health agencies. I was starting at the top of the list. I was going down the list, calling each company, hey, do you want to set up a contract with us? I would sign a ton of contracts. I would celebrate. And then we'd get like one referral 100 miles away from where we cover. Or like we'd never get a referral. We'd never hear from them. And it's because just signing an agency doesn't mean it's the right agency. And so often we're like just calling these ones that just want somebody. In the rare case they have a patient in our area, like they can call up Zach. He'll go see the patient or whatever. So the thing that a lot of people do in the beginning is exactly that. They just go on Google, they sign up with any agency, and then they're shocked and disappointed when they don't get any referrals.
Mm.
And so that's why in the program, like first week, we get on a Zoom one-on-one and like I give them the exact agencies if I was their neighbor in whatever city they're in that I would be reaching out to if I was trying to build this business. That way, they're laser focused on only contacting companies that will actually have a lot of referrals in the areas that they or if they have a staff want to see. And for people that are super busy, maybe they are working in outpatient or acute or whatever, and they're just trying to get this started up, like they don't have time to be wasting calling and contracting companies that don't have patients in their areas. It'll set them behind years. Like it slowed me down for 8 years.
Wow. I heard you say, and I know this from working with you, is you've kind of got two different paths, right? You've got like either W-2 or just like a solo contract or build a home health agency. So, well, what does that trajectory look like for kind of both? I'm more interested in the agency.
Mm-hmm.
What it sounds like is you have employees underneath you. So I'm curious what like both of those trajectories look like or paths look like and what the earning potentials look like and maybe even like the day-to-day responsibilities for each look like and like who's a good fit for what.
Yeah, for sure. Just quick semantics. I don't do home health agencies. I do a home health therapy company. Home health
Got
agency,
it.
highly regulated. You have surveyors. You have to have a full nurse staff. I don't want to do any of that. It's a big headache, to be honest. You have to get credentialed with Medicare and have to do the billing. My model, much simpler, much easier to scale. We don't have to do the Medicare billing or any of those headaches. So just a semantic thing. If you're going to be an employee, there's a few choices. You could be like PRN, you could be part-time, full-time. Earning potential depends on the market, but it's for sure something that I help with is getting it to the higher level. Full-time home health therapist, I mean, 100 to, depending on the city, probably 180,000 is pretty reasonable with a benefits package and all that stuff. So the people that want to do that are the ones I just mentioned. They want the benefits. They don't want to have to manage other people, hire other people, do the business side. They want to see patients, be done with their day, go home, chill, hang out with their family, whatever it is, have benefits, and have a paycheck. That's the employee person.
Cool.
The ones that want to do the business side, start a home health therapy company, like they're typically the ones that want, uncapped earning potential. These companies can make millions of dollars a year. And then a lot of them also want to get out of the clinical side. They don't want to, in the end of the day, see patients or see a lot of patients. For me, like I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I've always wanted to own a business. When I was in PT school, I wanted to own a business. That's why I was in PT school. I thought it was going to be an outpatient sports medicine clinic.
Me too. Yeah.
Then I worked in an outpatient sports medicine clinic for 3 years, seeing 20 plus patients a day. And I saw the writing on the wall with Medicare Part B payments. So I wanted to go to a setting where I didn't have to play by those payment rules, which is why I went into home health. Yeah. So with that model, I haven't seen a patient in 6 years, which was my personal goal. I wanted to put all of my time and effort into growing this business. And so a lot of the people that want to start a therapy company want uncapped earning potentials, more flexibility, and a lot of them want to get out of patient care.
I love that because honestly, before I met you, I didn't know that was even a model. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
I
yeah.
thought if you went in the home health space, you just were an employee slash contractor, whatever. I didn't know you could make a home health business. I had no idea.
Yep.
Even the semantics. I'm like, why have I never been taught this? As a clinician, why am I not taught this? Maybe if I was in the home health sector, I would know about it, but it seems like a great opportunity for people who want to be entrepreneurs or want to have their control their own time without having to start either a brick and mortar outpatient ortho setting, traditional or cash pay setting. Because my background's in cash pay,
Sure.
and that has its own thing of like difficulties. It's not easy, like it's simple, but it's not necessarily easy. You're competing against insurance, and you have to have that conversation, and like that's a bottleneck in terms of lead gen, etc. So it's like you have to be good at sales and marketing, like you would if you're doing any online stuff, but for brick and mortar. So it's a whole nother avenue for people like you and me that are entrepreneurial.
Yeah, and the thing I love about the model is kind of what you just said. Like startup costs are so, so low. Like you want a brick and mortar? Cool. What are you doing? A 3 year lease or something? $100,000 of equipment. Oh, you need a treadmill, you need high-low tables, need a front desk person, you need your own EMR. There's so many costs. And like, I don't know, that's a huge risk. It's not something I wanted to really, go down that road. So with the home health therapy company, like I joke, like you need a bag of equipment and a cell phone. And like it's a joke, but like it's not really that big of a joke. Like that's kind of it. There's a couple like very cheap other things, but like to get this started, it's just a really low cost business, which is I think super attractive.
Yeah, no, for sure. I love that. Cool. So that's super helpful. I'm sure a lot of people listening learn something from it. What I'd like to transition now is more into your business model of what you're doing now and how you're helping your clients get into this model. So we'll first start off with just like your offer, then we'll go through your sales process and then your marketing process because I've got coaches from all over who are subscribed to the channel. So let's start off with the offer and let's just talk about the deliverables. Like how do you train a PT or a clinician into doing this? Is it a program? Is it do it yourself? What does that whole thing look like?
Cool. So it's a 90-day program. Starts with a one-on-one onboarding call. We really outline these 90 days step by step specific to their goals. We go over what we talked about earlier, the exact agencies they should be contacting if they are going to set up a company. And I teach them the skill that I figured out after 8 years of how to find the right agency. So they own that skill. I actually give them a list of ones I would contact, but then they can add to that list and they own that skill forever. So we do a one-on-one. Then there are 2 group coaching calls every month. There's an online private community, and then they have direct access to me. Any question they have, shoot me a question. I get them back an answer off my 12 years experience doing this. And
So,
then there's a full online curriculum too. I forgot.
so what's the outcome? I guess at the end of the 90 days, if someone starts, it sounds like most people come in and have they started anything in home health? Are they considering it? And then what's that end
Huge
result look
range. Yeah, we have a huge range. We have somebody joined this week or last week. full-time W-2 home health clinician. That being said, super common. He's like, the rules and regulations, like I still am not super confident on them. Like that's just common in our industry. They're not taught that stuff really well. So for him, like we met yesterday, we did his onboarding. I gave him the exact agencies to be contacting. His 90 days is like his company should for sure be formed. He should have contracted with the right agencies. He should be receiving referrals himself. And if he wants to have, should have started hiring a therapist under him.
Wow. So he's going from W-2 employed to having his own business, right? There's so many advantages of that. If you guys are listening and you don't have your own business and you're doing stuff as a S corp or not S corp, sole proprietor or a W-2, you're missing out on a lot of tax benefits
Yeah.
of being an LLC or an S corp, like so he's setting up the whole business. He'll have the tax advantages of having the
Yep.
business, and will have the opportunity if he chooses to, and knows like the SOPs, standard processes of how to hire and scale if he wants to.
Yeah, exactly. And like everyone that joins is so different and unique. Like he wants to be an actor. And so like he needs time for auditions. I was like, what happens when you land your like first show or movie? Is your W-2 job going to be like, cool, go film for 6 weeks? Probably not, right? So like he wants to have more flexibility of time and have other people do visits so that he can have more time freedom while still maintaining and making more money.
Love that. So that's what kind of one end of the spectrum. So someone who's already in it wants to
Yep.
have the home health business,
Yeah.
and then
A
what's
lot of people are working at an outpatient clinic, working at a hospital or rehab facility, want to get out of that. A lot of the time they're pretty burnt out on it. Haven't done home health yet. And like that transition is something that I help each person's going to be a little custom, like how they want to transition. Often it means starting, picking up a few patients on the side, seeing this is real, seeing the referral volume and the money they can make from the companies that I tell them to contract with. Once they see that, the eyes kind of open up and they're like, okay, why don't we kind of start this transition a little faster? Maybe go part-time with the full-time job, or just kind of quit it and go full-time on my own thing. So a lot of them are doing that kind of transition.
I love that. Now, how much sales and marketing do they have to do to get leads, or do they just get referrals, like just fax to them? I used to work as
Yeah.
as a PT aide, and one of them was just calling referrals, like before I started PT school, and I didn't realize what I was doing. I was like, oh, I'm just just dialing, dialed every day for 3 days. Are they given leads, or how much, sales marketing do they have to do?
That's the beauty. Like you mentioned cash practices, we mentioned outpatient before. Like there's a lot of marketing stuff you have to do with those. I personally never wanted to do any of that stuff. Like when I was a physical therapist, I'm not going to go to a gym on my Saturday and like do free classes for when somebody gets injured. I get one patient at a time. Like it's just not my model. I don't want to do that kind of stuff. So we do this without making a website, no marketing materials, no brochures. We're not bringing doctors donuts. We're not doing free classes or free discovery calls. We don't do any of that. And that's why I like the model. There's not really a marketing component of it. At least in the beginning, the first milestone is $20,000 a month. And so we don't have to do any of that. It's all about getting the right companies, which I tell them the exact ones. Once you get those contracts, the floodgates can open to where like they're just sending you patients every day. You don't need to be marketing to get one at a time. When my company got like its first big contract, forever ago, like signed the contract, all of a sudden we were doing $50,000 months with just that one contract. So like I didn't have maybe I had a very bad website back then. I'm not sure yet. If I had a website, it probably would have been better if I didn't because it would have been that ugly. But you just don't need any of that stuff to get a company going in this industry, which is what I really like.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's some people that we've helped too that I see that now you're working with, and man, I don't think PTs, clinicians, or even online coaches realize how much your job turns into marketing and sales. And when you go online, and I'll be the first to say, I teach marketing and sales. It's not for everybody. Not everyone will be successful. And I wish I could say, oh, yep, I guarantee you're gonna make $10,000 easy in 30 days. Doesn't happen. All right, like it's hard, and it's a skill you have to practice and love to do every day if you want to build an online business. And brick and mortar, depending on the model, but definitely cash pay is the same way. It is very personal brand slash company brand and community heavy marketing. And if you don't like that, like I've seen a lot of people try it and then they get burnt out and they're like, I don't like creating content. Okay, probably shouldn't, get into a model that makes you be in front of a camera all the time. You know what I mean? So I love this model for people like that. And like, cause some people are really good clinicians or they're really good coaches and they really care, but they've confined themselves to what they think they should be doing and they hate it. And then they go back to like a 9 to 5, or they go back to the clinic setting and they hate that too. And then they get out of the profession completely when there are other options that people just don't know about.
For sure.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh man. I feel like I talk about this forever. Let's transition to more about your business, like your sales process, right? So you've got a coaching program. It's 90 days. It's high ticket. So what's your sales process look like? You're doing one call closes, two call. What's that whole flow look like?
Typically, one call closes. I mean, through you, like we are very fortunate. We get a lot of leads for very cheap, actually. So thank you very much for that. Yeah, so we do a VSL funnel with all the automations that you helped me set up. We book a 45-minute strategy session. So it's typically one call. We also do DM strategy with followers that we get. Once again, you helped with that, of course. Sometimes, not a lot, but sometimes we will do a two-call close if they're coming from like Instagram, maybe not as good of a fit potentially, or need a little more education. Sometimes we'll do a two call with them, but most of the time one call.
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah. And you have both going. So, well, that kind of jumps right into marketing. So you got a VSL. For those who don't know, it's a video sales letter. It gives a little bit of education on the mechanism of what he does, how he helps people, who's it for, and has an offer at the end to apply and book a call to learn more. What's your split between the DM strategy stuff and then the VSL right now?
Right now, definitely heavier on the VSL side. Get a lot of leads that way. That being said, we just launched an additional ad on the DM side Saturday. So that may start to creep up and be a bit more.
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah. And we get a mix of both too. It's like I really like the VSL funnel or opt-in funnels. So I've been testing a lot if you guys see my YouTube stuff. But I really like that because you can build an email list. And I know you email, or at least you were emailing. I think you're still emailing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. On a regular basis, you can create long form content, push people there, do live master classes, live webinars. If you're a fitness coach or whatever, you can do challenges. And what we're seeing is that like the sales cycles just continue to extend longer and longer in this marketplace because some people are very skeptical of make money online offers or skeptical of lose 20 pounds in 90 days guaranteed. Like those claims are bigger and bigger. So I'm a huge fan of the VSL just to build a list and then nurture those people over time. Now, with that being said, your offer, I'm curious if you actually might have a shorter lead to purchase window. What do you think, like on average, like when someone watches the VSL or opts in, like how long until they enter your ecosystem and buy? Is it shorter?
Ours is short.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ours is like on the sales call, I'll basically say like, am I new on your radar? Have you been following me for a while? Oh, dude, you just popped up this week. The algorithm knew. Like it's quite quick on that side. On the Instagram side, I think for sure it's a longer window because there's a lot of people that will DM me 3 months later and be like, "Hey Zach, just wanted to update you on, what's going on in my life now. Like before I said I didn't have time or didn't want to do this, or whatever. Now like I want to do it as soon as possible." So the Instagram seems to be a longer. Instagram also, I feel like there's more of a connection built since they have been following me for a while. They have a ton of my content. So, although we get more leads right now through the opt-in funnel, the ones coming from Instagram often convert better.
Yeah, we've noticed that too. Even the show rate for us is a lot higher if we have any conversation beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
If people book themselves and they don't respond to our text messages, because like if they book, we'll typically still send them a text message to try to have a conversation. Because if we don't and they've never talked to us, the show rate's like 50% or less, sometimes less. So we're like, all right, how can we like talk to these people? We're like with Instagram, just by chatting with them, it's like 75, 80% because they already spent time back and forth in the conversation before they come on that call. Are you noticing similar with show up rates and stuff like that too?
Oh, 100%. The ones that come from Instagram, like, unless it's an emergency, they're showing up. And if it's an emergency, they're like apologizing and letting me know, which, like,
Feels
thank
good.
you so much. Cause, like, our time is important. Like, I respect that. I appreciate that. If they're booking in directly, through the opt-in funnel, like chances significantly lower in the beginning. If the application looked good, I wasn't having my setter qualify any further. Like, when you're trying to get into the program soon, financially qualified, everything makes sense. Like, I was like, yeah, this one's good. The automations will take care of it. The no-shows were kind of coming up. So now we like reach out to everyone if they book directly in, qualify a little bit, but more really nurture And that's really helped with the show up rate.
Yeah, same. Yeah, there's a lot you can do there. There's so many strategies. Like I know some people will do, even though they have, oh, we use Go High Level for a lot of our text messages. I know some people will use iMessages for manual confirmations and send video messages through if show
Mhm.
up rate is like abysmal. Because you see an iMessage, you see the blue text, you're like, okay, this is a human. Green text, it's 50-50. Is this human? This seems automated. I'm
Yeah.
not responding, you know what I mean?
We even get that all the time. Like we are texting them and they're like, sorry, I didn't respond. I thought you were a bot. It's like, no, I'm not a bot, man. Like we have to make a joke out of that now because a lot of people are conditioned to think that everything's automated.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Or is ChatGPT plugged
Yeah,
in?
yeah.
Like not yet. Maybe in the
I'm
future.
not good enough yet at that stuff, man.
Me neither, man. I'm getting there. I'm gonna actually spend some time this afternoon playing with
I
a
figured
booking
you would
bot.
be there.
It's close. It's close. But I also like I do like I don't know if I will do it for me, but I might do it for people who don't have enough to pay a setter because a setter costs money. So it's like
For sure.
I think a booking bot can do the setter's job off hours, and then maybe if you don't have as someone who can be in there 20 like not 24/7, but like throughout the day, it makes sense. But I think I still like human touch. I think with high ticket, like if you're charging anything over 5 or 10K, like I would want a bot to burn a lead. You know what I mean? Like because if a bot burns one of my leads, I'm gonna be upset. I'm gonna be upset. Versus
Yeah.
like a human, like I can train a human and like the personal side of things. But I know there's people that do it successfully. I think you just have to have enough leads where you're not worried so much about it burning the leads. We're like, I want to make sure we don't burn leads.
Yeah, for sure. And man, like, I don't know, this would have been something very important. And in fact, if I had just listened to you in the beginning, like, I probably wouldn't have to make this. But like, to people that watch this, the setter is so important. Like, just pay to get the right person. I went offshores in the beginning. Matt told me, like, hey, man, I don't know if I would do that, but it was cheap. I tried it. He was right. He's always right, of course. But like, now I have an awesome setter and like yeah it's way more expensive and it's way worth it. So like you mentioned some people can't afford it. Like I don't know, maybe some people can't afford it, but like once you can, it's such an important role to hire like the right person.
Oh, for sure. That was the biggest probably turning point for you in your business. Like at least
Huge.
in the past like 6 months, maybe it's been shorter than that, right?
Shorter than that, yeah, 3 months.
3 months. Like they really took you from like guys. Well, yeah. Where did the setter take you from? Were you doing like around 10ish K a month to 40, or was it a bigger jump?
I think I don't think we had, maybe we'd broken 10 that month.
That's huge. But that's huge. Like so, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like having a setter to go from maybe 10, like 6 to 8 to 40,
yeah.
and like the biggest driver was the setter. Like
Yeah, huge. It was the setter getting the marketing dialed in because we were getting like a lot of leads and then like the sales process. Those three things, like I feel like at a company like my size, I know when you get bigger, there's a lot of other pieces moving, but like for the size my company is right now, if you get those three things dialed, I feel like that's kind of where the magic is.
wow, that's super helpful. So, which order did you do them in? And what would you suggest somebody doing them in?
Let's see. I for sure did the marketing side first. I think you and I are very similar. Like I like to nerd out on the automations and all that stuff.
Funnels are cool.
Yeah, I'm just so attracted to that stuff that that's just what I did first. Then I got much better at sales, and then I got a good setter, and that's the order I did. I don't know if there's a specific order, but like those are the three pieces.
Yeah, I think sales and marketing kind of you can flip them, but you need enough leads to practice your
Yes.
closing,
Yep. Yep.
So, yeah, I love that because I know when you first joined, your program price was lower, and then after you worked with a sales coach, you increased the program price and you started
Yep.
closing more too. Like it
For
was
sure.
like that's what I'm talking about. So we
Yeah.
got the lead stuff. We have a more expensive program, better program, selling it better, and then third part is having that setter in, so now you have more calls booked off of the same marketing dollars
Yep.
winning.
Yep.
We'll kind of wrap up here because we're getting close to time. But I'm curious, what are the main KPIs you're shooting for right now in the marketing VSL funnel? Like, what are your North Star? What are you shooting for? And then like, where are you currently at in terms of like cost per lead, cost per call, ROAS, and yeah, any other numbers you want to share?
Yeah, our cost per lead right now is about $16 a lead through the opt-in funnel. It's actually gotten better over the last month or two. Like I have other ads queued up and ready to go for when this one dies, but it kind of keeps on living and is getting better for whatever reason. So it's about $16 a lead. Cost per call booked, I'd have to look at it. I think it's $200-300 range, something like that. ROAS last month when we did 41K was I think it was about 50% or something like that. I'd have to look that up, but I think it was some,
3.5.
yeah, I think it was something like that.
Yeah.
Off of the DM funnel that I'm running, those ads, it was over 700%. And 1 month, I think was over 1,000. I think it was 1,100% or something like that, which is why we just added another ad
Yeah.
over the weekend for that one.
Yeah, that sounds about right. We notice even for our business for the opt-in funnels, it's typically a little bit lower. Like ours, we're shooting for in cash is a 2, and then on contracted value is a 4. Where like the DM ads can be 5 to 10x, but I still see that it's a longer term play. Like I'm building the email list, I'm also doing more nurturing and stuff in there. So like I'm comfortable. I almost see it as an investment. Where it's like,
Mhm.
all right, I'm investing in this, I'm building a list, I'm doing all these things. I can now use this list for lookalike audiences and other stuff in the future. So to me, I'm like all good with that, but that is typical. It's like is to see that, and then some things you can't take in account for. I've seen this a lot with the messenger ads or the DM ads. Is that people look at that number and then they're like, "Wow, this thing is crushing it. It's a 5 to 10x," but they don't take into consideration that a lot of people see your VSL ads, which are super targeted, like to people who will opt into a form or watch your video or book a call, and when they see that, they still go to your profile and follow you, or they go to your profile, click your link in bio, and apply, and you have no way of tracking that. There's no way to do that, right?
Yep.
And I've seen so many people who will be like, "Wow, our follower ads are crushing it. Let's just kill this VSL ad, or let's kill the messenger ads and just go in all on the follower ads." And when they do that, the return on investment just plummets. And they're like, what? But this is the one that was doing the best. And it's like, well, ads are an entire ecosystem. Like, Mark, you know what I mean? Like we think because they clicked this ad and they opted in with this form and we can track it back to this ad, that this is the ad that's working. Well, let's turn all of their ads off. I've done that so many times. And sometimes when that happens, not all the time, sometimes your entire ROAS will just plummet and you're just like, I don't understand. So just I find it so fascinating. I'm just geeking out right now.
No, that's crazy. Like I like how you describe that. It's an ecosystem because it's like, well, they came in through Instagram, but then they clicked the link in bio, so they saw the VSL. So yeah, like it's an Instagram lead, but is the only reason they signed up for a call because they watched the VSL? I don't know.
Yeah, you have to be careful because I've definitely on even on the coaching front been like, yeah, this ad's not giving you any ROAS, kill it, and then things plummet. You just have to be careful being like, well, let me look at the whole thing because for us, well, opt-in ads are typically our first touch. Like they'll click the opt-in ad, but then we say the last touch because we track that we use Hyros. The last touch is often a DM. So like they'll be in our funnel, and then something in our content or something in the funnel will prompt them to come back to us on Instagram and shoot us a message. Then we have the conversation there to book the call. But if I saw that and just looked at last touch, I'd be like, cool, I need to run more DM ads, or I need to just have more setters. But if I missed that first click being an ad that's just a still image ad of my course or whatever, I would miss that entire lead and I would actually be optimizing for the wrong thing. Yeah, so it's a whole nother conversation, man.
It's tricky.
It is. All right. Well, we need to wrap this thing up. We're getting close to time here. I'd love to hear from you, just like general advice that you would have given yourself when you first got started with this online business.
I'm not new to business coaching, so like this isn't something that would have been crazy to me at the time. Would have just been like find the programs, get in them as soon as possible. And I'm so thankful like I did find yours relatively quickly. But if I'd done it 4 months earlier, like I would be 4 months ahead. So like that's for sure one piece of it. I think the other piece is for me, kind of what we talked about earlier, like finding the right people, like finding the right setter was really instrumental. So if you have to hold off a little bit of time to find the right person, it's probably the right move. And like for your people, like if you have to do your own DMs for another month, it's probably worth it versus hiring someone that's just not gonna get you calls booked anyway. So those are probably like the two things I'd think of right now.
Yeah, I love that. That's a good reframe because I that was another one of my like really good friends owned a software company and it was the same thing. He's like, once you get enough money, you want to hire the most expensive person. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I'm trying to make profit. I'm trying to, I'm trying to live this nice cush lifestyle and be able to like work whenever I want. I don't want to have a big overhead. But he's like, well, if you want to have a good team where you actually can enjoy your time off and not have to micromanage them, you should try to find somebody who actually it costs more to have than a Filipino VA. And at that time I was running my entire business off of the Filipino automations and everything. And it was just like, nice, this is great. But like it wasn't, you know what I mean? So I think that's a great reframe for people listening. Cause I've been in that same exact boat. I think we all are when we first start a business. How cheap can we get this done? What's the cheapest video editor I can get? What's the cheapest ad I can make? And then you start to realize that which reflects your brand. And you're like, I don't want to people to DMing me and be like, this guy doesn't even speak English. Like, I'm not giving you money, you know?
Yeah, I like to say, and like this is in all things in life, it's expensive to be cheap. Like I
Mm.
buy cheap gym equipment, bought some Amazon dumbbells. They're cracked open. Like how did that happen? Okay, because they're cheap. I'm gonna have to rebuy them. Like okay, now it's cost me twice as much. I should have bought the expensive stuff in the beginning. Same thing with business. Like oh, I had a person in the Philippines doing my setting. I only had to pay him $20 a booked call. Great. None of them closed. Like I didn't get that many calls booked. So now I pay significantly more and my schedule is packed. So like you get what you pay for. It's expensive to be cheap.
Love that. All right. Closing out, what are your current goals? What are you trying to hit here into this year? What's your plan to get there? And then, yeah, we'll sign off from there.
Cool. End of this year. Okay. Short-term goal, like my next big milestone, which is certainly not end of year. I'm hoping it's in the next couple months here. I need to get to 50K a month as fast as possible because I want to hire a closer. That's where that part of the picture comes in. So that's not my yearly goal, but that's for sure the short-term goal that I want to hit.
Cool. Love that. 50K, get a closer, buy back more of your time. And then you can do more like me, makes content like this. You know, like this Tuesday. All I'm doing today is filming videos. And it's fun.
I never thought that that's what I would want, but that's 100% what I want now.
Yeah. Oh, it can be as chill as you want. Like I used to hate being in front of a camera and stuff like that. But now I'm like, cool, I can do this for the first 4 or 5 hours a day. I can go to do sauna, cold plunge, or just chill, hang out with the dogs, my girlfriend in the afternoon. And I have those days twice a week. And it's like, those are actually creative times to help me restore so I can create content, build my business even more than just taking calls all
Yep.
day, which is what you have to do until you get to 50K. You have to take calls, you might have to be in the DMs, and you have to do content, and you probably have to deliver on the program. So it's like until you hit a certain revenue milestone, you're still doing everything.
Totally. Yeah, that's why I want to get there. And then once we get them in 100K months is, the bigger picture goal for sure.
Well, cool, man. Zach, man, I'm proud of you, dude. It's been so fun working with you. Excited to keep supporting you and just seeing you grow. It's also really fun. Like for me, I was able to learn more about what it is that you do on a deeper level today. So thank you for being here, spending your time with us. And subscribers, if you guys want to go follow Zach or connect with Zach, what's the best way for them to find you?
Instagram, Zach Pevnik PT. That's ZACH Pevnik PT. And I also have a free Facebook group, Home Health Leaders Facebook group. Bunch of free content in there if you're looking to get into the home health space.
Cool. Love it. All right. This is a wrap. Zach, thanks again for being here, man.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt.
Peace.